Good afternoon, Columbus Aviator fans. As you wake up on this sleepy Saturday morning, going into the afternoon, and we turn on our televisions and we watch more UFL football today and tomorrow night, it's setting in the realization that this football team is not going to compete, at least not right now, for the playoffs and the UFL in year number one in Columbus. 44-26 was the final score yesterday. Again, too many mistakes to win on the professional level were made by the Aviators on both sides of the football. I'm going to get into the specifics uh, about that game in this review. Sorry we didn't have a week one review, a week two preview, or a power rankings video last week. I actually went on vacation and I thought I was going to be able to make those videos. And I'll just be honest, I just turned my brain off last week. I had no motivation to do anything in the hotel room. I tried to do very little to just give myself a break. But we're back. Our batteries are recharged here at the OHIO podcast. We've already done a recruiting video for the Buckeyes over on our other channel. Let's talk about this game last night. Shout out to Chris for doing the live solo last night. Sorry we weren't available to help you, buddy. That won't happen again. Rest of the season, we are good to go. But I will say this. That game last night was incredibly difficult to watch again. 44-26, the 2025 UFL champions come into Columbus, Ohio after losing in week number one, and they look every bit the part of a playoff team once again this season, crushing Columbus in their season home opener, in the home opener in Columbus at historic Crew Stadium. Great crowd by the Columbus fans. They showed out. They actually opened up the upper deck and sold more tickets in the upper deck. They weren't planning on doing that. I think we might be the only UFL team who's doing that currently in our current venue. So massive numbers, great crowd, tremendous atmosphere under the lights there in Columbus off of I-71 just by the state fairgrounds on the east side of the city. All that being said, disappointing outcome as Columbus falls to 0-2 on the year. Now, before I get into any specifics, let me say this. My biggest concern, and you can go back and watch on the season preview, my biggest concern was going to be the defense for the Aviators. I felt that there was a very good chance they were going to be overmatched, specifically defensive coordinator Captain Munnerlyn. Now, Captain, who was a phenomenal defensive player in the NFL, former teammate of head coach Ted Ginn Jr., there for the Carolina Panthers, played from 2009 all the way through 2018. So he got a 10-year career in the NFL, did Captain. Very good defensive player, but overmatched as a defensive coordinator at this level. Completely overmatched, in my opinion. Now, he started his coaching career in 2023. He's coached 3 years as a assistant coach and then a head coach in high school. Being a defensive coordinator on a professional level, even the UFL, which isn't the NFL but is, a tier down, is still way ahead of where he was at in high school. And I know he was a great player in the NFL. So was Teddy Ginn. But you're at a completely different level here in coaching. And before I throw Teddy Ginn under the bus for what we're seeing right now, I think the results of what we're seeing defensively from the Aviators right now lies more on what we're getting from the defensive coordinator, in my opinion, from Captain Munnerlyn. So he needs to and unfortunately there's no quick way to fix lack of experience. It just takes time. Probably a bad decision to go with captain as your defensive coordinator in year number one. Um, but you are who you are right now, so you're going to have to make the best of it. With 6 regular season games left, you're going to have to win 4 of them to stand a chance, right? Or no, sorry, there's 8 games left. You're going to have to win at least 5 of them. So they're going to have to go 5-3 in the final 8 weeks to stand to even have the opportunity to get to the playoffs, in my opinion. So good luck with that. Going 5-3 in the final 8 is not going to be easy. Can they get to 4? Can they go 4-4 in the final 8 and get to 4-6 on the season? That's probably more doable than 5-3. But even that is going to be a monumental task if we don't improve on the defensive side of the football. And speaking of the defensive side of the football and the frustrations that I had, how about we start the football game off with not getting 2 personal foul calls on you, um, 30 yards of flags, of penalties on the first drive of the game. How about we do that defensively? Could we do that maybe? That was really, really disappointing to see when you have one of your starters, one of your better players, go out there uh, in the defensive backfield and Cam Smith and come away with 2 penalties like that. That crushes you. And we had the special teams blunder to start the game last week. We have the defensive penalties to start this week. And whether you agree or disagree with the calls, I'm open to that debate. But the fact that you had 2 of them go against you right off the bat on the first drive, and you basically hand the defenders 7 points, and your back's against the wall and you're trailing before your offense has ever even stepped out onto the field is just terrible. That's crushing. That's absolutely crushing. Um, yeah, Columbus had 8 penalties in this football game, 2 of them in the first drive to just hand the team 7 points. Cannot do that. This defense is they look overmatched. They looked weak up front against the run. They were struggling to stop the RPOs all game long. The DC just RPO'd this defense to death. And you had some, late in the game, you had some turnovers that led to a couple field goals that gave them some extra points, but you cannot give up 40 plus points in a football game and expect to win. You cannot do that. Defensively, they have got to tighten up. Now, they were getting pressure a week ago against Orlando up front. They were just being dominated up front this week in the rushing department. DC had 229 rushing yards in this football game. 229. Deion Jackson, 11 carries, 97 yards, and 3 touchdowns with a long of 48. Abram Smith, 7 carries, 39 yards. And then Eric Uzukanma, we'll just call him Big E, double E. 2 carries, 37 yards, the long of 32. Xavier Valade, 9 carries, 36 yards, and a touchdown. And then Jordan Tamu, 7 carries, 20 yards. That's 36 carries, 229 rushing yards you gave up defensively. Cannot do that. Bad look. On the other side of the football, let's talk about our quarterback, shall we? Jalen McClendon, I felt like he had potential this year, and I still see potential. 23 of 37 passing, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. The bad pick right before halftime when DC was actually giving you momentum. Would have loved to have come away with at least a field goal there and go into halftime down 7 as opposed to 10. But then he's also your leading rusher. 8 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen McClendon, I feel like I don't know how to feel about him right now. I think he flashes, and he's definitely your best option, but there are he has some tendencies he needs to work on. He's staring down the receivers way too much. He needs to look off the defensive backs, number one. Number two, he's not getting a lot of time to throw the football, which means it might help to roll him out more, especially with his feet. Give him some more RPOs, some quicker passes. They started doing it by throwing it out the ball to the outside on bubble screens. The slant, run a slant every now and then. With the RPO, I think that would help him out immensely. And then roll the guy out, man. Give him some extra protection, roll him out. Um, split the field in half a little bit and let him use some of that athletic ability a little bit better, more than just the QB runs, the called QB runs, which is they were calling QB runs up the middle all game with him. And he still did that well. But now you question, is he going to be healthy? Because he took a hellacious shot. He got sandwiched up in the last offensive play of the game for the Aviators. And now you're wondering, is he going to be all right this week? Are we going to have to go to the backups in week number 3 already because he's banged up? We'll have to find out. He's obviously the best option. The coaches think he's the best option. Statistically, he looked all right. 0-2 as a starter this year. I get that. After going 4-2 of last year, I believe, at Houston. So now he's 4-4 in the last 2 years as a starter. You see the potential. You got to utilize him a little bit better, I think, in the play calling. Just my 2 cents. But I mentioned it, I alluded to it earlier, the offensive line. Leaky. They did not handle the blitz well at all. And you knew going into this football game, gosh, I wish I would have been able to do a preview. You knew going into this football game that they were going to blitz the living hell out of you. And looked woefully unprepared. They would leave the tight end to chip, and he would get one hand on him and then roll out, and the tackle wouldn't be able to clean up that mess. And McClendon is just getting rocked back there. He's not getting enough time for deep routes, so you might as well throw the deep ball out of the playbook if you're not going to have enough time to throw the football. Another reason to roll him out, right? Give him a little bit more time to let the route develop for your wide receivers. But the offensive line did not look that great in pass protection. Now, maybe they should pull the page out of the DC's playbook. DC did not look good in pass protection in week 1. And then they just ran the ball down Columbus's throat in week 2. They said, look, let's just get nasty up front and just run the football. Maybe that is what you should see Columbus do in week 3, is just say, look, this offensive line is big. Let's just start being road graders and let's just start running the football more on first and second down, and then utilizing our athletic quarterback on third down. But the offensive line going to have to improve, to say the least, when it comes to pass blocking, if Columbus is going to turn this thing around. So you're 0-2. You lose the home opener, as a tough home opener to have against defending UFL champions. But now you're going to have to go back on the road again. You're going to have to clean some things up. You're going to have to get a little bit better and continue to fight, right? You can't fall down 0-3. It's, you don't want to call this a must win already, but we're at a must win already. You can't go down 0-3. And you got to do it on the road. And that's the thing. So Columbus is going to have to get it straightened up here a little bit. See what they could do in week 3. Got a lot of questions going into week 3. And a possible injured quarterback, offensive line that's very leaky against the rush. Tons of questions on defense. Can you stop the run? Why do you continue to stub yourself in the foot defensively with stupid penalties? Is our defensive play calling getting picked on because of just inexperience? Lot of questions need to be answered on that side of the football going into week number 3. All right, those are my thoughts from the game. Let me know your thoughts from last night's game. I would love to hear you in the comments section below. Please hit the thumbs up, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you let me know what you think down below. We'll be back with our power rankings for the UFL after week number 2 early this week once all the games have been played. Thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, go Aviators. Let's turn this thing around.